There's a moment in life, maybe more than one, when you find yourself on the floor staring at the pieces of a life that used to feel whole. Maybe it's a phone call that changes everything, a loss you didn't see coming, or a slow unraveling that leaves you standing in the wreckage of something that once felt safe. And in those moments, there's a voice that creeps in, whispering, "You're not strong enough. You should have handled this better. Why can't you just keep it together?" But here's the truth. Feeling broken doesn't mean you are weak. It means you are brave enough to care, to hope, to risk. And when you love, when you try, when you show up for life with your whole heart, you're going to get hurt. The danger isn't in breaking, it's in believing that brokenness is the end of the story. We all carry stories about pain, stories we tell ourselves about why we weren't enough, why things fell apart, why we don't deserve to heal. And those stories, they shape us, but they don't have to define us. Healing begins when we stop running from the discomfort and start facing it. When we sit with the pain instead of numbing it. When we reach for connection instead of isolation. Because if there's one thing I know for sure, it's this: no one heals alone. We are wired for connection, for the kind of love that doesn't flinch when things get hard. The kind of love that says you don't have to be perfect to be worthy. You don't have to be whole to be loved. So when you feel broken, remember this: you are not your worst day. You are not your failures, your losses, or your scars. You are the story you choose to write next. And the most powerful stories, they're the ones where the broken rise. We live in a world that glorifies strength, the kind of strength that looks polished, put together, and unshaken, the kind that never stumbles, never wavers, never shows a crack. We are taught from an early age to hold it together, to push through, to be strong no matter what. But somewhere along the way, we started believing a dangerous lie that strength means never breaking. Here's the truth. Brokenness is not weakness. In fact, the very fact that you feel broken is proof that you have lived, that you have loved, that you have risked your heart and cared about something deeply. Only people who are invested in life, in relationships, in dreams, in hope, only those people can feel broken when things fall apart. The ones who never take a chance, who never let their walls down, who never open their hearts, they may never feel this kind of pain, but they also never experience the depth of what it means to truly be alive. Think about a piece of pottery. If it falls and shatters, does it lose its value? Does it suddenly become useless? No. In fact, in some cultures, broken pottery is repaired with gold, creating something even more beautiful than before. The cracks don't make it worthless. They tell a story of resilience, of history, of survival. The same is true for us. The moments that break us do not define us as weak. They define us as human. They remind us that we are capable of feeling deeply, of caring enough to hurt, of trying even when we're unsure of the outcome. Pain is not a sign of failure. It's a sign that you are engaged in this messy, beautiful, complicated thing called life. And if you've been broken, if you've felt that gut-wrenching ache of loss, disappointment, or betrayal, know this: your pain does not diminish your worth. It does not erase your strength. It does not make you any less valuable, any less deserving of love, any less capable of rising again. Real strength isn't about never falling apart. It's about what happens after you do. It's about choosing to get up, to heal, to keep moving forward, even when everything in you wants to give up. So if you find yourself in a moment of brokenness, don't mistake it for weakness. You are not weak. You are someone who had the courage to love, to try, to believe, and that kind of courage, That's the strongest thing there is. We are natural storytellers. Even before we had written language, before history was carved into stone or inked onto paper, we were telling stories. Around fires, through songs, and the way we passed wisdom down from one generation to the next. Storytelling is woven into the fabric of who we are. But the most powerful stories are not the ones we tell others. They are the ones we tell ourselves. When we go through something painful, when we experience loss, failure, betrayal, or disappointment, our minds immediately start writing a narrative. We try to make sense of what happened, filling in the blanks where we don't have answers. And often, those stories are not kind. We tell ourselves, I wasn't good enough. If I had tried harder, this wouldn't have happened. I should have seen it coming. I am not worthy of love, success, happiness. These stories, whether we realize it or not, shape the way we see ourselves and the world around us. They become the lens through which we interpret everything. And if the stories we tell ourselves are rooted in shame, self-doubt, and unworthiness, then no matter what reality looks like, we will always feel like we are not enough. But here's the thing, just because we tell ourselves a story doesn't mean it's true. Think about it. How many times have you assumed the worst about yourself when in reality, the situation was completely different? You fail at something and immediately think, I'm not capable. But what if the truth is simply that failure is part of learning? A relationship ends and you tell yourself, I wasn't lovable enough. But what if the truth is that it had nothing to do with your worth? Our brains are wired for self-protection. They would rather create a painful story than sit with uncertainty. But when we let these false stories take root, they become our reality. So how do we change the stories we tell ourselves? Pause and notice the narrative. Pay attention to the words you use when you talk to yourself. Would you say those same things to a friend? If the answer is no, then you are not telling yourself the truth. You are telling yourself a story based on fear, not reality. Ask, is this story serving me? If the narrative you are holding onto is making you feel small, unworthy, or ashamed, then it is not serving you, it is control. Rewrite the story with self-compassion. Instead of, I failed, so I must be a failure, try, I failed, so I am learning. Instead of, I am broken and unlovable, try, I have been hurt, but I am still worthy of love. The stories we tell ourselves have the power to either keep us stuck or set us free. And the most important thing to remember is this: you are the author. You can choose to keep repeating the same painful narrative, or you can decide to rewrite it. You can choose to see your brokenness as the end of the story, or you can choose to see it as the beginning of something new. So what story will you tell yourself today? Courage is a word we often associate with battlefields, heroism, and grand acts of bravery. But true courage, the kind that shapes us, changes us, and heals us, is rarely loud or dramatic. It is quiet. It is unseen. It happens in the moments when no one is watching, when you are alone with your pain, when the darkness feels endless, and yet you choose to keep going. There is a certain kind of darkness that life brings, the kind that doesn't just dim the lights, but makes it impossible to see even a few steps ahead. Maybe it comes with grief, the loss of someone you love so deeply that their absence feels like an open wound. Maybe it rises with heartbreak, a betrayal that shakes your sense of trust and leaves you questioning everything. Maybe it's a failure, a moment when the thing you dreamed of slips through your fingers and you are left standing in the ruins of what could have been. When that darkness comes, it is easy to believe that courage is about finding the way out as quickly as possible. We want to fix it, escape it, move past it. We want the pain to be over. But real courage is not about running from the darkness. It is about learning to sit with it, The bravest thing you can do is stay. It takes extraordinary courage to sit with pain, to let yourself feel the weight of disappointment, sadness, or fear without numbing it or turning away. We live in a world that tells us to distract ourselves, to stay busy, to bottle it up and move on. But the hardest and most necessary thing we can do is to allow ourselves to feel. Pain is uncomfortable, it is raw, but it is also a teacher. When we refuse to acknowledge it, we rob ourselves of the lessons it carries. We miss the opportunity to grow, to understand ourselves more deeply, to find meaning even in the brokenness. So if you find yourself in the dark, know this: courage is not the absence of fear. It is feeling the fear and staying anyway. It is waking up and facing another day when everything inside you wants to hide. It is choosing to believe in hope, even when you can't see it yet. You are stronger than you think. When we are in pain, our minds play tricks on us. They tell us that we are too weak, too broken, too exhausted to keep going. But if you take a moment to look back at your own life, you will see something remarkable. You have survived 100% of your worst days. You have been here before. Maybe not in this exact situation, maybe not with these exact wounds, but you have faced darkness and you have found a way through it. And if you have done it before, you can do it again. Strength is not about never falling. It is about getting back up over and over again. Light exists even when you can't see it. One of the hardest things about being in the dark is that it tricks us into believing that the light is gone forever. It makes us feel isolated, disconnected, as if we are the only ones struggling. But the truth is, light exists even when we cannot see it. Healing is happening even when we do not feel it. Think about a seed planted deep in the earth. It is buried, unseen, covered in darkness, and yet in that darkness, something powerful is happening. It is growing, the roots are forming, the transformation is beginning. And one day that seed will break through the surface, reaching for the light. You are that seed. This season of darkness is not your ending, it is your becoming. The courage to ask for help, one of the bravest things you can do when you are struggling, is to reach out. We often believe that we have to be strong on our own, that asking for help is a sign of weakness. But the truth is, we are not meant to do life alone. We are wired for connection, for community. Courage is picking up the phone and telling a friend, I'm not okay. Courage is letting someone in when everything inside you wants to shut down. Courage is allowing yourself to be held, supported, and reminded that you are not alone. Because you are not alone. Keep going. If you are in the dark right now, if you are in the kind of pain that feels endless, let me remind you, this is not where your story ends. One day you will look back and see that this moment, this season of struggle was not breaking you, it was shaping you. It was teaching you strength, resilience, compassion. It was preparing you for something you cannot yet see. So keep going. Even if today all you can do is breathe, that is enough. Even if all you can do is put one foot in front of the other, that is enough. You are already braver than you realize, and you are going to make it through. There is a battle that takes place within all of us, a battle between shame and worthiness. And often, without even realizing it, we let shame win. Shame is one of the most powerful and destructive emotions we can experience. It doesn't just tell us that we made a mistake, it tells us that we are a mistake. It doesn't just whisper that we failed, it insists that we are a failure. Shame is the voice in our heads that convinces us we are unworthy, unlovable, and undeserving of connection. And the worst part, shame thrives in silence. It grows in the darkness, in the places where we are too afraid to speak our truth, too scared to let people see our struggles. We think if they knew the real me, they would leave. If they saw my failures, my flaws, my scars, they would never love me. So we hide, we put on masks, we build walls, and we pretend we have it all together. But deep down, shame festers, making us feel smaller and smaller. But here's the truth. Shame is a liar. The difference between shame and guilt, before we go any further, it's important to understand the difference between shame and guilt because they are not the same thing. Guilt says, I did something bad. Shame says, I am bad. Guilt is about an action. It can be useful. It reminds us when we've hurt someone, when we've made a mistake, when we need to make amends. Guilt, when handled correctly, helps us grow. But shame isn't about what we did. It's about who we are. And when we believe we are inherently flawed, broken, or unworthy, we stop trying. We stop believing in our own goodness. We isolate ourselves. Shame doesn't make us better people. It keeps us stuck. The lies that shame tells us, shame is sneaky. It doesn't always show up as obvious self-hatred. Sometimes it disguises itself as perfectionism. We think if I can just be perfect, then no one will see how unworthy I am. Sometimes it appears as people-pleasing. We think if I can make everyone happy, maybe I'll finally feel like I matter. But these are just distractions, temporary shields to cover the deeper fear that we are not enough. Shame tells us you're too much. You'll never be good enough. You don't deserve love. If people knew the real you, they would walk away. And the worst part, we believe it. The truth about worthiness. But let's talk about worthiness, because worthiness is not something we earn. It is not something we have to prove. It is not something that is given to us when we finally become good enough. Worthiness is our birthright. You are worthy right now, exactly as you are. Not someday when you lose the weight, get the promotion, heal completely, or finally feel fixed. You are worthy in the middle of your mess, in the middle of your struggles, in the moments when you feel the most broken. But here's the hard part. Believing in our own worthiness is a choice. It's a daily decision to reject the lies of shame and remind ourselves, I am enough. I am worthy of love and belonging. I do not have to be perfect to be valuable. How to break free from shame. So how do we silence the voice of shame and step into our worthiness? 1, speak your shame out loud. Shame cannot survive being spoken. The moment you name it, the moment you tell a trusted friend, therapist, or loved one, its power begins to fade. Shame thrives in secrecy. So take away its hiding place. 2, challenge the lies. When shame whispers you're not good enough, ask yourself, says who? Where did that belief come from? Is it actually true, or is it a story you've been carrying for too long? 3, surround yourself with the right people. You were never meant to do life alone. Surround yourself with people who remind you of your worth when you forget. People who don't just love you when you're at your best, but who stand by you when you're struggling. 4, practice self-compassion. What would you say to a friend who is struggling? Would you tell them they are unworthy? Would you shame them for their mistakes? No. You would offer them kindness, understanding, grace. Now offer that same love to yourself. 5, redefine strength. Strength is not about never falling. It's about getting back up. It's about knowing that even when you make mistakes, even when life knocks you down, you are still worthy of love. Your worth is not up for debate. Shame wants you to believe that you are not enough, but you are worthy of love, of connection, of joy, and no mistake, no failure, no imperfection can take that away from you. So the next time shame comes knocking, remind yourself, I am enough, I am worthy, and nothing will change that. We live in a world that often glorifies independence. We are told to be strong on our own, to solve our own problems, to carry our burdens silently. We admire self-sufficiency, resilience, and the ability to handle it. But here's the thing, we were never meant to do life alone. From the moment we are born, connection is our most basic human need. A newborn survival depends entirely on the presence of a caregiver. Babies are wired to seek warmth, comfort, and security in the arms of another. And while we may outgrow cribs and lullabies, we never outgrow our need for connection. Yet, when life gets hard, when we are hurting, grieving, or struggling, our instinct is often to withdraw. We isolate ourselves. We tell ourselves that no one will understand, that we don't want to be a burden, that we should be able to handle things on our own. We suffer in silence, believing that our pain is ours alone to carry. But if there is one thing I know for sure, it's this: connection is medicine. The healing power of being seen. There is nothing more healing than being truly seen. Having someone sit beside you, look into your eyes and say, I see your pain and I am here. No advice, no fixing, just presence. Think about the moments in your life when you were struggling the most. Maybe it was heartbreak, loss, failure, or uncertainty. Now, think about the person who showed up for you. Maybe they didn't have the perfect words. Maybe they couldn't take away your pain, but their presence, that mattered. It made the weight you were carrying feel a little lighter. Because that's what connection does. It reminds us that we are not alone. Pain is isolating. It makes us feel like we are the only ones struggling, like we are somehow different from everyone else who seems to be managing just fine. But the truth is, everyone is carrying something. Everyone has known loss, fear, disappointment, and heartbreak. And when we let others into our pain, when we share our struggles instead of hiding them, we create a space where healing can begin. Shame cannot survive connection. Shame thrives in isolation. It tells us that we are broken, that we are unworthy, that if people knew the truth about us, they would walk away. And so we stay silent. But shame cannot survive being spoken. The moment we say, this is what I'm struggling with, the moment we let someone see the parts of us we are afraid to show, that is the moment shame begins to lose its grip. Because more often than not, when we speak our truth, we are met with understanding. Someone else says, me too. Someone else says, I know what that feels like. And suddenly the thing that made us feel so alone becomes the very thing that connects us. We heal in relationships. It is tempting to believe that healing is a solo journey, that we must find our own way through the darkness before we can turn to others. But healing doesn't happen in isolation. It happens in relationship. A kind word, a deep conversation, a moment of laughter in the middle of pain. These are not small things. They are medicine. They are reminders that even in the hardest moments, we are still connected, still worthy of love, still part of something bigger than ourselves. And the beautiful thing about connection is that it doesn't require perfection. You don't have to have all the answers, and neither do the people around you. You don't need someone to fix your pain. You just need someone to sit in it with you. Let people in. So if you are struggling right now, if you are carrying something heavy, let someone in. It doesn't have to be everyone. It doesn't have to be a dramatic confession. Just one person, a friend, a family member, a therapist, someone you trust. Reach out, even if it feels uncomfortable. Let yourself be seen. And if you are in a place where you are doing okay, be that person for someone else. Pay attention to the people around you. Ask the deeper questions. Be the safe space where someone can exhale and say, I'm not okay. Because at the end of the day, we all just want to know that we are not alone. And when we find that connection, when we allow ourselves to be seen, to be loved, to be held in our most vulnerable moments, that is where healing begins. At some point, we all experience a fall, a failure, a heartbreak, a betrayal, a moment where everything we thought we could count on crumbles beneath us. Maybe it's a relationship that ends, a dream that doesn't come true, a mistake that costs us dearly, or a loss so deep it changes the shape of who we are. The fall is painful, it's disorienting. And when we are lying there broken and unsure of how to get back up, it is easy to believe that we will never recover, that we will never be the same. But here's what I want you to know. Rising after a fall is not about going back to who you were before. It's about becoming someone new. Rising strong is about resilience. It's about standing back up, not because it's easy, but because there is still more life for you to live. It's about choosing to believe that even in your hardest moments, you are still worthy of love, joy, and purpose. And most of all, it's about understanding that strength is not found in avoiding the fall. It is found in learning how to rise. The fall, the reckoning, and the rising. Rising strong is not a single moment, it's a process, a journey that unfolds in 3 stages. One, the fall, when everything comes crashing down. The fall is the moment of impact, the breakup, the job loss, the failure, the diagnosis, the grief. It's the moment when life hits us so hard that we don't know how to move forward. It's raw, painful, and often leaves us questioning everything. When we fall, our first instinct is often to numb the pain. We distract ourselves, push our feelings down, pretend we're fine. But avoiding pain doesn't make it disappear, it just buries it deeper. Real strength begins when we stop running from our pain and turn to face it. 2, the reckoning, owning our story. This is the messy middle. It's the part where we sit with our pain, where we acknowledge what has happened instead of denying it. It's the part where we ask ourselves the hard questions. What am I feeling? What story am I telling myself about this? What is this teaching me about myself, about life, about what I value? The stories we tell ourselves about our failures and pain matter. If we believe I failed, so I must not be good enough, we stay stuck. If we believe I lost something, so I must not be worthy of love, we shrink. But when we take the time to examine our pain, to challenge the story shame tells us, we begin to rewrite the narrative. Instead of I am broken, we start to believe I am growing. Instead of I am weak, we recognize I am learning to rise. This part is uncomfortable. It requires vulnerability, self-awareness, and courage, but without it, we stay trapped in our pain. We cannot heal what we refuse to face. 3, the rising, becoming stronger than before. This is where transformation happens, not because we pretend the pain never existed, but because we let it shape us in powerful ways. Rising strong does not mean going back to who you were before the fall. It means emerging wiser, braver, and more compassionate. It means carrying your scars not as evidence of your weakness, but as proof of your survival. It means standing up even when your legs are shaking. What rising strong looks like in real life. Rising strong is different for everyone. For some, it might mean finally allowing yourself to grieve instead of pretending you're fine. For others, it might be having the courage to try again after a devastating failure. It might mean setting a boundary, walking away from something that no longer serves you, or reaching out for help when everything inside you wants to stay silent. But no matter what it looks like, rising strong always requires these 3 things. 1, self-compassion. You cannot shame yourself into healing. Be kind to yourself as you rise. Speak to yourself the way you would speak to someone you love. 2, connection healing happens in relationships. Let people in. Surround yourself with those who remind you of your strength when you forget. 3, courage rising is not about never falling again. It is about knowing that even if you do, you have the strength to get back up. You are made to rise. If you are in the middle of the fall right now, if you are still lying there wondering if you will ever be okay again, let me remind you, this is not where your story ends. You are stronger than you know, you are braver than you feel, and one day you will look back at this moment not as the one that broke you, but as the one that built you. So take a deep breath, gather your strength, and rise. Life will break us open. That is inevitable. We will fall, we will fail, we will experience loss, and we will carry scars from the moments that tested us. But what defines us is not the fall itself, it is the choice to rise. We have explored what it means to feel broken, to wrestle with shame, to challenge the stories we tell ourselves, and to find courage in our darkest moments. We have seen that connection is not just a comfort, it is the medicine that heals us. And we have learned that worthiness is not something we earn, it is something we claim. Rising strong is not about pretending we were never knocked down. It is about standing up with our scars, our lessons, and our resilience, knowing that we are not defined by what happened to us, but by how we rise from it. So to anyone who feels lost in their pain, to anyone who wonders if they will ever feel whole again, to anyone who is struggling to believe